much for my computer to do it a whole hour already. All right. Okay, so now we're going to talk about why do we use our? We spell it our and R, but they sound the same when you're talking fast. Our cat, are you going? You hear how it just sounds like R. This is really confusing for dyslexic people as well as for second language learners. So we teach that R is used as a verb and our is used in a possessive situation. And R is often used at the beginning of a sentence with a question mark. And I'll show you what that looks like. So we could say, our grass is too long. Are you going to cut it? Are you going to get it cut? Do you think our dogs are going to get along? Are our children in bed yet? They would say, are our children in bed yet? Just, you know, the brain doesn't differentiate. So we have to explicitly teach the difference between are and our. And I'll always say that are is followed by an ing verb. So it's a linking verb. And then our is going to be followed by a noun because you're going to own something. So when you see grass, our grass. When you see children, our children. Glasses, our glasses. So that's going to help the children understand. And again, I would take the highlighters out. I just want to show you a little bit about the brilliance of teaching grammar. There, and there is another one. And I teach it this way that, well, let me back up a little bit. There, the word there has the word here in it. Here, there, everywhere. It's a locator. They're going over there. And then THEIR is an ownership word because it has the word heir in it. Like if you were the heir to the throne, you're going to own it. You would own the throne when the king died. So there is an ownership word. They all start with THE, which is tricky, but we teach the ownership. And then they with apostrophe RE, the apostrophe is replacing the A because it really means they are. So there's a verb included with that pronoun. So we would talk about every line has there on it, but which there do we use? So I would even let the students write in the highlighter color, their father, so it has to be ownership. It's going to be the purple one, is sitting over there. That's a location. So they're going to use the word that's with the yellow. And we always want to scaffold with colors and give explicit instruction because that's part of the Orton Gillingham model, having that explicit instruction. So here we have the ing word running, and that needs the linking verb are. But are isn't a choice. However, they are, but the apostrophe re is the correct choice. So they're running over there to a location. So that's when they're going to have the yellow. As fast as their feet can run, they own the feet. So it's the ownership word. They're not very nice to their uncle. So they are, it needs that verb there. To their uncle, they own the uncle. So it's going to be the ownership there. When he visits their house, again, it's going to be the ownership. So it's going to be the EIR, which is THEIR. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Deb, do you also teach it like that?
No.
Okay. Are you a teacher or paraprofessional?
No, speech pathologist.
Speech, okay. Okay.
I think this is great. I used to work with, before COVID, with ESL learners. So this is something that they would probably benefit from something like this. If I were to do that again, which I would be happy to, but not at the moment.
Yes. Okay. So true or false? 88% of juveniles in the juvenile court system are illiterate.
True.
That is so true, and it's so sad. So I have a friend who works at the a friend that works at the university, and he said when he used to work for the Department of Justice back east, there was a state that looked at the illiteracy rate of third graders to determine how many prisons to build. And, you know, in my mind, I see prison and prisms, and I think of prisms as lights. You know, when light goes in a prism, all the beautiful colors come out. And how much brilliance are we losing to these kids that are in prison because they've gone to gangs, they've gone to people who've accepted them, who affirm them. So I say the brilliance that's trapped in our prisons. It gives me the chills or makes me want to cry because there's so much potential in there. 35% of the dyslexic, of the people who drop out of high school are dyslexic. And in special ed, we have 85% of kids in special ed are categorized under SLD, specific learning disability, and statistics share they are dyslexic. Another true false. Dyslexia has been known to cause ulcers in children.
True.
True.
Yep. And I actually had a friend find me on Facebook that told me her daughter developed a dyslexia-induced ulcer. And I had another parent that told me her son used to lie and have to go to the bathroom at reading time all the time because he hated to read. And this parent took him to the doctors to find out what was wrong with him. And they just couldn't find out anything wrong with him. And they just forgot it, you know. And 2 years later, that little boy, when he was 10, told his mom, I used to make it up all the time because I hated to read. So let me give you another drill. These are nonsense words. Now, I know, Deb, you're going to be able to sound these out. And Christina, you put your makeup on now, okay? These are nonsense words that we show the students to see if they can sound them out. And the normal brain, or the reading brain of the non-dyslexic, I should say, cannot sound these out. But Deb, just entertain me and go ahead and sound these out.
Do you want me to sound some out too?
Oh, sure. I'll let you do the next page, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Go ahead, Christina.
I'm sorry, do you want to do that, Deb?
Okay, I'll do it. Sorry, Christina. Okay, I would say peas, I would say baking, I would say moisten, and I'm going to say toe or though.
Though, okay. And this would be bacon.
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 Okay, bacon. Yeah.
And then the other question we ask is it a real word? It's nonsense how we write it, but is there the correct way to spell it? And all these do have a correct way to spell it. Now these don't. So go ahead and sound those out if you dare to take the challenge, Christina.
Oh, Christina, go ahead.
Bake, bees, louve, and kelp.
Excellent. So that first one, bake, we have a little rule. When two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking, which means it says its letter name, bake. And a lot of kids don't know that rule. And then there's other vowel teams, two vowels together, that will have multiple sounds. So there's a little bit of that whole word that comes in to see when those vowel teams say a different sound. But first we teach them the first vowel is going to say its name. And a lot of kids will get the L mixed up and they'll say this word is clap. They don't recognize that the L is third in position there. So that was very good, Christina. And the only two real words would be bake and bees. There are correct ways to write those, but louve and kelp are not real words. And then the S stands for success. What does reading success look like in your home? And I remember when my mom used to take us to the library and we would bring back a dozen books, have them for a few weeks, read them over and over and over again. And when my kids were young, I used to love to take them to the library, and they couldn't read those books fast enough because they were just so fun. but reading is just not fun for a dyslexic child. And, you know, music has been studied to show that it will slow down ADHD. So what I have seen is kids that have they have the coexisting ADHD with dyslexia. If we put the music in the left ear, it will calm them down and it will help them track and anticipate what's coming next. And it has such a soothing effect to it. I had a little student, well, a middle school student named Ronnie, who said he was dyslexic, he was adopted, and he had ADHD, and he was proud of all of them. And he said he took Ritalin to calm his ADHD down, but the music was what helped him learn. And he had music written into his IEPs through middle school and also through high school. And he just graduated last year. So when I did my doctorate research, I had 30 students in my research. And, you know, people always want to know, what's the data? What's the data? Well, I don't have the data that other huge organizations have with 200, 300 students. I would get 30 at a time when I worked in an after-school program. And I saw the results. And I would have collected data back then had I ever thought I'd be doing this today. This was never on my docket for doing this. I never thought I would get my doctorate. So when 30 students were in my doctorate program, 15 used the music and 15 didn't. But they all came to me at the 10 to 20 percentile range, which is down here. After 12 weeks, which is what my 2 internal review boards required, 15 of the students achieved the 40 percentile range without the music, and with the music, they achieved the 60 percentile range in vocabulary. I just selected one item because when kids have expanded vocabulary, it's going to help their comprehension. And the kids who don't have that developed comprehension by 4th grade, their scores will be lagging while they're in middle school. So catching that vocabulary is huge. And that's something we really do in my reading program. So now I'm looking at dyslexic children. When I am tutoring them, I tutor 5 of them. I look at the genius that's within, the brilliance, the creativity. And I've had parents say that their child has a superpower, a 3D superpower, and they don't want to change their children. And I tell them we're not changing the creativity when we teach them to read, but we are building their self-esteem and we're helping them at least graduate from high school because knowledge is going to empower them. So put it or give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. A vast majority of teachers and parents have been given specific training on how to help dyslexic children. That's right. So they're not being trained. The schools aren't using the budget to train the staff on dyslexia. I think a lot of the burden is put on the speech pathologist and the psychologist to do all the assessing, and the overload is there. So I make myself available to give an affordable screen, or I call it an assessment, but I also have a disclaimer that it's a screen because it's to find out what the next plan of action can be to help the child read, spell, and write. Okay, so the thing is, we want these kids reading in grades 1 through 3, because once they get in 4th grade, those teachers aren't trained to teach reading. They're trained to get those kids on the path to research and write. So we really put a burden on our teachers if they're not reading by 4th grade. And again, if the kids aren't reading by 4th grade, they're at risk of dropping out of high school and unfortunately going to prison. So I'm receiving my Orton Gillingham certification very soon. I'm in a practicum right now. And I want to show my reading program has 9 steps that follow the Orton Gillingham model. So true or false, effective intervention can make a huge difference in the lives of students.
True.
Absolutely true. And so we talk about using music with the multisensory step-by-step reading program. We are seeing 1 to 3 year gains in only 6 weeks using the music. Now, this is interesting to me because I've had people say, that's 1 to 3 year gains. What are you using to measure? Well, I'm looking at the kid's report card. I had a student that's in my practicum. He came to me at a low 3rd grade reading level. He's only had 25 sessions with me, and already he's getting a B+ in reading in his English class without the music. So in my practicum, I can't use the music. So if we can see that with an Orton Gillingham model, why is that so hard for people to see if I'm adding music? Because it is happening with the kids using music. So it's really difficult to use that Orton Gillingham model with fidelity. It's like earning another credential. And we really just don't have time to send all our teachers back to college for another year. I know some colleges have a 3-year program that they're developing and $40,000 to $50,000. Well, I have been trying to train teachers for the last 2 years. What I'm doing now is reaching out to parents saying, bring me your child. Let them work with me or my staff on my learning center, because we want to relieve your pain. We want to help unlock the genius in your child. So I have an app developed that we will use with your child. It has 28 spelling exercises and 8 sentence groups. If paraprofessionals or teachers want my curriculum or my training videos, they're available. But the purpose of this webinar today is to reach parents. I want you to know that I offer an affordable alternative to the expensive programs out there. And we can offer an affordable screen, so you can either take the screen to the school, let them know that your child has these dyslexia, signs of dyslexia, and meets the eligibility requirements, or you can just make a decision you want to get the help for your child already. Okay. A lot of parents are just paying privately. So I can get your dyslexic child reading and writing. And I want to share some testimonies. Emma is a 2nd grader, and just this morning, she has a tutor in the classroom with COVID. Okay, silence, mute, let me see if I can mute this person or not. A new person just came in. So Emma, her tutor is just flabbergasted. She said, it is so evident in all her work. She showed me her writing, and it's just so fluid. She said, it's all coming together now. Her confidence has just skyrocketed. And now Emma came to me writing very clearly, but now she's spacing her letters out. Now she's indenting, and now it's making more sense. Some of the other students I've worked with have that dysgraphia, and they need a lot of extra work with their handwriting, like Cameron and Ezra have a little bit more of a challenge in their writing. But Devin came to me with low comprehension scores, and now he's earning A's in English. His writing has really improved, and his comprehension. Ezra is my 6th grade student in my practicum. He's earning a B+ in English. Cameron is a 2nd grader. His mom said, don't stop. His teachers are saying what you're doing works. They haven't found anybody to help him. And they actually left to get some vision therapy. And they came back and said, it wasn't that, he needs you. And then Victoria is one of my newest students. And her mom was saying she just read her first reader all by herself. So we are seeing those results in our kids. I want to say that parents, you'll have a guarantee. You're going to start seeing results after the first 2 weeks. And after the first 10 weeks or the 30 sessions, you're going to be seeing a remarkable change in your child's interest to read. So what's next? What I'm offering is an affordable assessment at affordable prices. Unless you want to go to an outside psychologist, speech pathologist, and get an assessment. I also do advocacy to help your child get the hours they need for the tutoring. I can start your child tutoring at affordable prices. And if that's of interest to you, give me a call and we'll have that discussion. So my curriculum and training videos are available for teachers and paraprofessionals. So I'm going to close this by saying I also have my 4th day of the boot camp is next week. We had it for the past 3 Thursdays. I would ask that you would find me on Instagram and on Facebook because I'm going to be offering support groups for parents of dyslexic children. And the boot camp, the 4th day is March 18th. If you haven't signed up yet, I hope you do that. It's only $47. And we're going to talk about the neuroscience of the brain and why the music in my app is beneficial. And I also have a couple other surprises I'm going to show you. In the previous times, the other days of the boot camp, we talked about phonogram cards and how we strategically teach the phonogram cards with pictures. We talked about how we sound the words out with little circles and letters. And then yesterday we talked about how we code words and code syllables. And we talked about the syllable types. And we talked about the Orton-Gillingham terms for the different syllables. So there's been a lot of learning going on. And these videos will be available in my store as well. So here is a link. I'm going to stop my share. Oops. Let me stop